It's from John 14, 1 to 14. Do not let your hearts be troubled, Jesus said. Trust in God, trust also in me. In God there are many, many resting places. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and will take you to myself, so that where I am, there you may be also. And you know the way to the place where I am going. Thomas said to him, Lord, we do not know where you're going. How can we know the way? Jesus said to him, the way I have shown you is the way, and the truth, and the life. No one comes to God except through the way that I have shown you. If you know me, you will know God also. From now on, you do know God, and have seen God. Philip said to him, Lord, show us God, and we will be satisfied. Jesus said to him, have I been with you all this time, Philip, and you still do not know me? Whoever has seen me has seen God. How can you say, show us God? Do you not trust that I am in God, and God is in me? The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the God who dwells in me and in you is manifested in me. Believe me that I am in God, and God is in me, but if you do not, then believe me because of the works themselves. Very truly, I tell you, the one who trusts in my way will also do the works that I do. And in fact, will do greater works than these, because I am going to God. I will do whatever you ask in my name, so that God's glory might be manifested on this earth. If in my name you ask me for anything, I will do it, because you will do as I have done. In the room that I used to use as my office at home before I moved all my books upstairs, there's a shelf. It's just a cheap Target shelf, but it's pretty sturdy for that. And it's black, it's smooth, it kind of almost looks like walnut. I don't know what it really is. Some fake stuff, I'm sure. But as you go down the shelves, right in the middle, there's a shelf that kind of has a different shade than the other ones on the front of it. And it's kind of bowed out in a little lip. And it's okay. It's got character. It's different. But really it's like that because I didn't read the directions and the shelf was actually facing the wrong direction. I didn't follow the way. Yeah. In my kids' room, in Weston's room actually, there's a couch from IKEA that has a pull-out bed under it. Got that thing together, tried to push the bed back under it, and it wouldn't go, and it wouldn't go, and no matter how many times I kicked it and tried to pick up the couch and rattle it and all the stuff, it still didn't work until I opened the directions. Oops. So I had to take the thing apart again, and take the bed and turn it around, and then put the couch back over it and screw it in. Didn't follow the way. Darn it. See what happens? As a guy, it's okay, because that's what we do. But still. Jim moved to Indiana in the 30s because of the Great Depression economy and had to go wherever his dad could find work. And Jim was kind of an outcast. People didn't really like him. People thought he was pretty weird. And he started becoming uber religious because he didn't have anybody to talk to, so he turned to God, or really kind of his own version of God, and the religion that he found through his own interpretation of the Bible and whatnot. And friends who knew him at this time said that he was quite strange, that he would hold these little religious services by himself, and that once he even killed a cat so that he could do the funeral for it. Okay, this guy was disturbed. But somehow, he eventually showed an interest in this Methodist church, and the pastor thought that even though by this time he had very communist leanings, in fact I wouldn't even say it was leanings, he was quite open about it, and he became associate pastor there at that church. Well, eventually he left because he said that the church refused to integrate. See, Jim was very passionate about race relations, and he wanted to make sure that blacks and whites and Asians and everybody could worship together in one church, and that they could also have equality outside in the public, in restaurants and in schools and whatnot. And he worked passionately for this. So in some ways, he did do a lot of great things. He started a church that went through a lot of name changes, and the Methodist Church he found was too rigid for him. One day, he noticed this Apostolic Baptist Free something church with a name about that long. And he noticed that the pastor was doing these faith healings. And when he'd do them, people would just flock in numbers with their money. I mean, this guy had nothing on him. But he thought to himself that if I can do this, I can make money for my social causes. Right? I can help to further this whole message of race relations and unity and whatnot. And so he started a more apostolic or eschatological, meaning talking about the end times and all this kind of church. And believe it or not, actually started to grow pretty quickly. And he eventually convinced the people that there was going to be a nuclear war in the United States, which I guess wasn't hard to believe. It's the Cold War. I mean, Khrushchev was just itching to push the button, apparently. Not that we weren't, but still. And he convinced them that they needed to move out to California. And so they go out to California and they keep building their church. And then they have branches in other parts of California. And it's growing. It's growing. And finally, he convinces the people that they need to get out of the United States. He had reached out to the Soviet Union to let them go there, but he never heard from them. They didn't answer his letters, apparently. It was before email, so... And he told the people, after going on these trips down to Guyana, that this was where we needed to go. We need to go down here and get away from the oppressive capitalistic government so that we can do our thing and not have their eyes on us all the time. And so he brought the people down there. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people went with him. But see, things started to fall apart because he was doing a lot of drugs. And people started to notice that Jim was getting a little bit off his rocker. I think some of you probably know where I'm going with this. Jim was doing these really strange practices, but people were following along with it. Some were starting to become a little bit skeptical. He was telling people stuff like, if you need a Messiah, I am your Messiah. If you need a God, I am your God. If you need a Father, I am your Father. And he'd go through some really weird acts and rituals to bind himself with these people, literally and figuratively. And eventually, he said that they all needed, if the time came, to die together so that they could have what was called translation. Their bodies would be translated, kind of like Beam Me Up, Scotty, Star Trek, right? And when they died, they would be on another planet all together and live in bliss and utopia. Well, when a congressman came to check things out, because he had family members who were in there, and a lot of people were starting to get suspicious about what was happening down in Jonestown, in Guyana, they went down there, and he took 15 people, this congressman, he took 15 people with him, and at first they were letting him leave, right? Jim Jones was like, okay, go ahead. But he changed his mind, and he sent a little militia, if you will, after the plane, and they shot and killed the congressman and 5 of the reporters and other people who were with him. And he realized that the news was going to get out real quick, and that the U.S. government was going to be coming down there and breathing down their necks to see what the heck was going on. And so we have the term, don't drink the Kool-Aid. 918 people drank the Kool-Aid. And so a week later, or whenever it was, when the people sent out from the U.S. government got there, they found all of these people who had committed mass suicide. And there were about 300 of them that were children who had no idea what they were doing, right? Parents gave them Kool-Aid, so here you go. What do they know about cyanide? How in the world did so many people become so foolish? This man who had a Messiah complex about himself, a man who was so distraught with life that he got way off the beaten path, The way to him meant nothing, because he eventually came to a point where he said that the Bible was meaningless, that religion is, guess who he was reading, an opiate for the masses, and that it had no meaning whatsoever. He said, if you want to see God, you need a tangible representation, and that's me. I'm God. He'd flown off his rocker. But so many people believed him because they were looking for something in their life. Something was missing, and he provided it, even though it was so strange, something so weird. How in the heck did people not realize that there was something wrong with this picture before they left San Francisco and went to Guyana? But still, hundreds and hundreds of people went down there, left their families. That was the rule, right? You go down there and you write your families off. You're not allowed to have any contact with them because they're in cahoots with the capitalist government. How does it come to a point where people get so off the beaten path that things just really don't make any sense anymore? There's no semblance of reality. People just grasping for things. Jesus says, and it sounds almost kind of coy, let not your hearts be troubled. It's almost like he's saying, chill out. Everything's fine. What are you all worked up about? But he's not saying that, because things are rarely fine. All of us know that. All of us know that there are very few moments when we can sit back and say with a smile confidently that everything is hunky-dory, everything's okay. But, as I always say with these scriptures, you have to put them in context. This is part of what's called the farewell discourses. Okay? This little speech is part of a group of speeches that Jesus gave, or dialogues, conversations, about the fact that he was about to die. Okay? Just before this was the Last Supper. So here Jesus is saying, let not your hearts be troubled. But just before that, he's at the Last Supper, and it says, Jesus' heart was troubled. And that's when he told Judas, go and do what you need to do. Right? But he tells Peter and all of them that my way is the way, the truth, and the life, and that through me you will find God, and you will find peace, and you will find happiness. But Peter says, what is this way? I'll go with you. Because Jesus said, you can't go where I'm going. And Peter said, no, I want to go where you're going. I'll even lay down my life for you. And that's where Jesus said, right, that before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times. Okay? And then he goes into this. And this is his retort to Peter. Don't let your heart be troubled. Because, see, he was saying that from a standpoint where his own heart was troubled. He knew what was happening. Because where does he go after this? He goes into the garden to pray. He goes looking for solace. He goes looking for peace. Keep watch. I've got to talk to God. I've got to reconnect, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. Who of us doesn't have a lot of stuff going on at any given time? There is a way. And I think that way is inherent to all of us. I think we really know it, but for some reason, usually, thank God, not to the extreme of the people at Jonestown, but a lot of times we get off the beaten path so far that we're almost scared to try to get back on track. This isn't a message that Jesus is giving that some people use, and pardon the term, but as a holy roller type of thing. Jesus is saying the way is right here, and I've showed you that. I've told you that. You have seen my life, my body, is an example of that. And he says, and if you don't believe this, if you don't believe it just because I'm telling you, let my works be the proof. You've been with me. You've seen what I've done. And yes, I stand before you still troubled because I know what's about to happen. There is a way within each of us to where we can find and reconnect with the God that dwells within us, the God that is at the root of all creation. And that is what Jesus is telling us. That this way if we dare seek it, if we dare practice it, if we dare to follow it, we are going to find God. And we are going to find peace. But there's a way that has to be followed to do this. And if we're not willing to do it, then it's not going to happen. If you don't believe me, look at what I've done. But when we do it, when we get there, when we finally realize that we have become connected with this, which is the source of all being and all existence, that which is infinitely greater than all of us, that which is us, there we will discover truth. There we will experience life for the first time. There we will find the way. So let all of us have the courage to trust that such a thing exists. That there is something there greater than us, something there deep inside us that connects us all as human beings, and that if we should seek that way, and if we should live it, we've got a whole 4 Gospels that tell us. Even Stephen at his deathbed, see a little replay here of the Gospels, right? As Jesus is dying, he said, God, forgive them, for they know not what they do, and he breathed his last, and heard that anywhere before? Yeah. And all these people are coming and throwing their coats down at Saul's feet as they're going out to throw stones at Stephen. Well, who's Saul? It's Paul. We'll read about him later. See, regardless of what the situation is, things can change. Things do change. Sometimes they go this way, sometimes they go that way. But we do have a say in it. Maybe if we can't change the situation that we're in, we can at least learn how to live with it. Learn how to exist in a manner that gives us peace despite the fact that we're standing in a big old pile of dew. That's the PG-13 version. But there's a way to be able to do that. And it's right here.